Oklahoma, a little bit of an attitude. And then he deals with Hugh Jackson and his ego and Greg Williams and his ego. And he's got John Dorsey, the former player, the GM, his ego, and the impulsive owner. Oh, boy. It was a tinderbox, and Baker Mayfield in Cleveland was the spark. Even the media in Cleveland has a chip on their shoulder for years and years of losing. Then it wasn't until Kevin Stefanski showed up in Cleveland, Ivy League, cerebral, understated. Baker goes 11-5, gets into the playoffs, wins a game. But everything just didn't feel right there. Too many fires started by Baker, and those guys just, Andrew Barry, Stefanski said, we're going to start over. Easy to say now, but then at the time, it was just too much sparks, and you felt like you needed a fire extinguisher every 15 minutes for a press conference in Cleveland with Baker. Then he grows up, he bounces around, he ends up in Tampa. No ego with head coach Todd Bowles. Even keel GM, great one, Jason Light. The owners stay out of the business. The media in Tampa, they've got Super Bowls. They're not bitter. They're supportive. And there's no pressure. And in sleepy Tampa, Baker Mayfield, the last 2 weeks, first of all, he leads the NFL in passing touchdowns since he got to Tampa. Game-winning drives, last 2 weeks, he's been great. He doesn't have to battle the media. He doesn't have to battle Hugh Jackson or Greg Williams to win the room. He doesn't have to remake an organization. Tampa's always had players. They just could never get the quarterback right. Even his top receiver, Mike Evans, Emeka Ibuka, no ego, easygoing guys. Remember OBJ in Cleveland? The dad gets involved. They're releasing stuff to the media. It just didn't work. So Tampa is a perfect fit for Baker. It's always been a little sleepy. I worked there years ago, Ybor City, fun town. But, Miami gets all the glare down south and Atlanta up north, and Tampa just sits there and, it's got a older fan base and very loyal, and they kind of under the radar, and they've been dominating this division. They've always had talent, but they could never get the quarterback right, and they go Brady to Baker, and it's a perfect fit.
Yeah. I don't feel the need to rehash Baker's history dating back to the Cleveland Browns right now. So I'll just keep it about the Bucs. What's so crazy about the Bucs right now, and the success that Baker is having this season, is that they're not even full strength, and just from a receiving standpoint, right? So we haven't even seen all the pieces there, and so it's just, you could always expect this offense to have a lot of oomph and a lot of power here. And when you're looking at their biggest, their biggest rival in their division, the Atlanta Falcons, are really struggling to get production going in a reliable and consistent way. They're still figuring stuff out clearly. And in 2 games that the Bucs clearly could have lost, the Bucs are 2-0 and they could be 0-2, right? It's taking game-winning drives in both games. So, like, literally by definition, you could be losing these games, a missed field goal and all that. And in this game, you're having like block punts and just crazy beginning of the season all around for all the teams. It's been awesome, honestly. And to be able to come away 2-0 on the road, both games. Not even full strength, missing a huge wide receiver for you, a huge piece that Baker also clearly has a lot of chemistry with. Just puts you in the driver's seat in the purest sense of the phrase, right? There's just a lot of wins still ahead of them. A lot of home field advantage, like matchups where it's great to be home in this moment of time, like going to Atlanta week 1, going to Houston. Like, again, these should be tougher games, and games that were, again, clearly on the table to lose, but coming away with the victory it just goes such a longer way than even meets the eye, honestly, from my viewpoint. Because even just being 1-1 would be, pretty good. Or having just 2 tough losses wouldn't even be the end of the world, because you could be like, all right, we're not full strength, been on the road, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, and we got a couple good, get right games ahead of us. We could easily now be 3-2 over these next, whatever exactly it is. I haven't looked, I don't even know exactly who they even play in week 3, but I'm just trying to paint the picture here. And so the fact that they're able to be 2-0, again, make no mistake about it, that goes a really long way in the NFL, especially when you're taking a win against the Atlanta Falcons, because the Atlanta Falcons could be 2-0, and now they're 1-1. And so all of this stuff matters a lot to me. And it's interesting because there's still there's still other more important feel out games to win, because the Falcons have not been as great or not as good as I think that they should be. And the Texans, I had sold my stock on the Texans this year. I did not believe in them this year. They don't have the pieces. The defense is pretty good, but I think there's a lot of boosting of this sense of who this Texans defense even is. But I mean, they're just, I just don't, I don't, they're not even going to win the division, this Texans team right now. They're 0-2 right now. So I just, and I defend CJ Stroud because I don't think it's on CJ by any stretch of the imagination, but this Texans team has been pretty disappointing over these last couple of years, and they've made decisions now that I'm, especially this past offseason, I'm just like, what are you doing right now? But the Bucs have the benefit of, having the Saints, having the Panthers, going up against a young quarterback with Penix, and the Falcons, and just also a pretty messy coaching staff down in Atlanta. And so the division should be on a silver platter for them right now. And again, these early season games are what can trip you up, or where you're just like, oh my God, we had that game against the Texans. How did we let it slip? Gosh, now we really got to make sure that we win this game in week 17. When you're looking at it late in the season, we're like, gosh, if we didn't just drop that game to the Falcons, we would be the team that's already at the 1 seat, whatever it is, winning the division, et cetera, et cetera. And you didn't get tripped up earlier on in the season. You don't have to kind of play that game. You don't have to be like, man, if Chris Godwin was there, like we win that game. Like, you don't have to do that. You took care of business in the beginning of the season when it needed to be done, in games that just unfolded in pretty weird fashion. I mean, I watched both these games, and they haven't been smooth on any accounts. There's moments when this offense, you're just like, wow, man. Like, there's moments in these games when it feels like the Bucs are gonna run this score up, but then they don't, right? It feels, you're just like, oh man, Baker's gonna throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game, and it doesn't happen. There's some miscues, and there could have been an interception with even last night that definitely should have been an interception for the Houston Texans. They're definitely kicking themselves there, because you intercept that game, you intercept that ball, it just becomes a difference between winning and losing. But I think the Bucs defense has stepped up. In a lot of ways. They didn't let CJ Stroud ever get comfortable at all throughout that game. And he was using his legs a bit in terms of I guess both quarterbacks, but I'm talking about CJ right now, and I think that the Bucs stayed disciplined in that regard, and the Houston Texans didn't stay disciplined, and Baker did use his legs, and it was off to the races, and he was able to completely expose that, and in obviously really important moments. And the Texans defense, I think they had like 5 or 6 penalties alone, and the Bucs just made them pay. Every time the Texans gave them a gift, the Bucs said, "Oh, thank you so much, we'll take it," and they used it to their advantage, and that's important to do. That's important to be able to do that. When a team gives you a gift, when a team gives you a penalty that needed to not happen, or roughing the passer, whatever it may be, part the seas for your quarterback to take off, you got to be able to consistently and reliably take advantage of it again and again and again and again. Them going for it, the Texans, when they shouldn't have, leaving points on the board, and the Bucs made them pay every time, and that's how you come away with a tough on the road week 2 win here. And so it's all important games right now, and I just think it sets them up for a lot more success down the road, and then it also gives them that cushion where now they can drop a random game in the middle of the season, or they can have tough, weird back-to-back losses where you're just like, gosh, how, why is this happening? Which many seasons and many teams go through. So they're just already building that cushion and already kind of building that gap in the division, and it goes a long way, even if it is just weeks 1 and 2. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Baker and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the sleepy town that Tampa Bay is, and Baker Mayfield and Cleveland and Carolina, because I guess we still have to rehash that every single time. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.